Which also, can we talk about the first movie? Like, legit had him just killing terrorists in the Middle East.
No, literally, he was just straight up in the Middle East.
Like, that was the power of 2008.
What a different political climate that was. Like, in 2008, Robert Downey Jr. could kill terrorists, and we said, hell yeah.
Hello and welcome to the Nerdiest podcast, the show where nerds talk about nerdy things. I'm one of your hosts, Mr. Nick Barrett, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, my ride or die, Mr. Jackson Glass. And today, we are going to be going over our top 10 Marvel movies of all time, which is, we were supposed to do an episode on Captain America.
I'm sorry. If you're watching the video, this is a visual bit. This is a visual bit.
I'm in the chorus, man.
This is an audio medium with a visual bit. So
yeah, we've been doing visual bits for like years now.
Yeah.
So anyway, before they get me again, today we are doing top 10 Marvel movies of all time. We were supposed to do an episode on Captain America, but then they decided to drop it on Valentine's Day, and both of us were busy.
Yeah.
Not like you single nerds out there who don't have girlfriends. Lol.
Real.
Imagine.
LOL.
So,
cringe.
Talking about that, also talking about some other stuff and things that we'll get into. But before that, Jackson, how have you been?
Gosh, I've been doing good. I think I'm going to go see Captain America next week. I'm excited because there's 3 movies in theaters right now that I want to see, which is very rare in this movie theater economy, because I want to see Captain America, I want to go see Dog Man, and I want to see Paddington in Peru. So all those just came out, and I'm very excited. I get to go see all of them in the next coming week. So that's very exciting. Mostly, I've just been working really hard on a lot of videos. We had a big bingo event that I was a part of that I helped lead, and that was super exciting. And I have some pictures and videos. You might see them if you follow me on Instagram. But I did host this giant game of bingo, and it was so fun. And we came out and shot confetti and threw like fruit snacks into the audience, and it was a big deal. There was like 300 people there. It was just like such a good night, and it was like months of preparation went into it. And so like when it was over, like I just crashed so hard. And so I'm happy to have that done. It was super fun, but I'm happy to have it done. I'm working on some more YouTube videos now because it was taking just a lot of my time. And so I'm kind of going back to editing some stuff for myself now. We're working on a short film right now that we're very close to starting production on, that I'm very excited about. Other than that, just doing schoolwork, doing wedding prep. I don't really have a wedding update. We're getting our bachelor party situation figured out, which, like, being dedicated to a podcast is really hard because you, like, feel silly being like, okay, we might need to pre-record because of your bachelor party, or we're trying to figure out, like, if we need to pre-record because of my wedding. And it's just kind of like, the average lifespan of a podcast is about 7 episodes, and that's because some of you guys aren't willing to put in the effort of scheduling around your wedding. And that's the difference between me and you. So anyway, that's about it. I've just been working really hard on a lot of different videos, different stuff. We're getting some music out soon. We're living in the kitchen. I'm about 12 weeks away from my wedding, which is kind of holy crap. We had a great Valentine's Day. We cooked at home. And I just like to, we made beef stroganoff, which is gas, by the way. It was the best time we'd ever made that recipe. It was delicious. She gave me this great shirt from a Goofy movie that I can show you another time. I forgot to put it on. But here's the thing. There is a misconception that I'd like to put an asterisk on. I was told that it is cheaper to make dinner at home than go out, and then proceeded to spend like $80 on groceries for this meal, and was like, And then I realized something. Cooking at home is cheaper than going out when you regularly buy groceries.
Yes.
But I am in college and do not regularly buy groceries. So went to the store under the ruse of it being cheaper, but then had to buy very basic things like flour and garlic and lemon juice. Stuff that, like, if I just made it at home, like at my house, it'd be like, oh, we have that, we have this, we have cooking sherry, which, by the way, funny story, I'm 21, but my driver's license is taking forever to update because I ordered it online, which you can do, by the way.
Lol,
it is
cringe.
taking...
I didn't think you could do that.
So you can renew your driver's license online, and it's taking so long to come in. And I was like, maybe I should have just gone to the DMV.
You should have just gone to the DMV.
Because it's taking forever. And I'm trying to buy cooking sherry, which is literally an ingredient. And she cards me and is like, your license is expired. I can't give you this. I was like, you're taking my cooking sherry? Because are you kidding me? So anyway, I'm waiting for my driver's license to come in, and it's slowly becoming more and more of an issue.
Have you been
for stuff
driving
like
on
that.
an expired license?
Okay, so here's the thing.
Since I saw you?
I have my license, and when you renew your license and you're waiting for a new one, you have a piece of paper that you print out that says proof of renew. And so that is in my glove box. So if I got pulled over, I would give them the proof of renew and be like, hey, I renewed it. I'm just waiting for it. Like, don't arrest me, please. Anyway, but I can't, like, pull out my proof of renew at the grocery store to buy cooking sherry. Like, that's not, like, hold on, stay right here. I know this store is, like, full of, like, men that forgot about Valentine's Day until today, and they're buying all your flowers, but I need to run out to my car and get my proof of renew out of my glove box so that I can buy your cooking sherry. It's just a train wreck. Anyway, that was pretty much my week. But Mr. Nick, how are you doing?
Tired.
Ooh, big yawn.
I was also sick at the beginning of the week. Okay, let me clarify that. I wasn't sick. I was under the influence of some sort of disease.
You had the crud.
Which I guess is just being sick. So my sister was sick last weekend, and I was like trying to make sure she felt better, but I also stayed away because I was like, I can get sick. Like, do you think my content schedule has breaks for me getting sick built in? No. So there was that, and then like Sunday night into Monday, I started feeling awful, and I was like, oh no. So I still went into work on Monday and stuff, and I felt fine, but then like my throat got all scratchy, and like, you know how like it hurts to swallow, and like you don't want to eat or drink anything. So I had that, and then I just kind of worked through it, and now we're here, and I sound okay. I sound infinitely better than I did yesterday. So I did that, and now I'm here. So there's two things I want to hit here in my weekly recap that I've done since last episode. One, last weekend I had no videos to do. I was all scripted. I was all caught up on, enough shorts to not have to do anything. All of my podcast editing was done because we didn't record last weekend. So I went from like 9:30 a.m. Saturday to like 7:30 p.m. playing Persona 3 Reload. It was an all-day gaming sesh. And I have not had an all-day gaming sesh in like 2 years. And it was
that sounds
so
ideal.
Nice. And I did it again on Saturday, or not on Sunday. Not as long, but I did it again on Sunday. So I put in like 12, 15 hours into Persona last weekend.
Dang.
I was like, dang, bro, that's crazy. And then I looked at my calendar, and I won't be able to do that again for like another 2 months.
You take the little victories.
This really is like a once-in-a-lifetime thing.
Yeah.
So it's cool. I am getting close to the end of the game. So that's exciting. Because I'm almost there. So there's that. And then the other thing I did is I made some money moves.
Oh, he's big big money now.
Big money. Yeah.
Mo
So-
money, mo problems.
I was thinking about this. You know how Nintendo Switch 2 is not out yet?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like
I'm aware. I'm painfully aware.
zoinks. That's terrible. So Nintendo Switch 2 not out yet. Which
Right.
means Nintendo's kind of like in a holding space, no February
Yeah.
Direct yet, no like we don't really know what Switch 2 is aside from it
Right.
existing. So I took it upon myself to buy some Nintendo stock while it's
Oh.
down.
Ooh.
So I currently have 5 shares in Nintendo, and we'll see how that goes. I want to try to double that and get another 5 shares before in my mind, right? I don't know anything about the stonk market, okay?
Right.
In my mind, I have until April 2nd, which is the Switch 2 Direct, to get all of my like shares in order, because after
Right.
that, logically, the stocks will go up because we'll know what Switch 2 is, we'll know how much it costs, we'll know when it comes out, we'll know what games they have. Like, you'll actually know what you're investing in. So I'm like, okay, before we hit this new like Switch 2, Mario movie 2, Zelda movie, theme park in Orlando in May, like I'm like, okay, we got to get in on the ground floor, get in while it's low, so then we can kind of just coast over the next few years and see how it goes. So I've been putting like at the end of every like right before I get paid, I'll see like, okay, how
Right.
much do I have left in my budget, and that's usually whatever I'll throw it getting more stock. So
Wow.
I want to get it up to 10 at least by April, which I should be able
Okay.
to do. So the stock's gone up a little bit this week because they had their investors meeting and they're like,
Yeah.
hey, we're making money moves. Switch 2 coming. And the stock went up. And I was like, dang it, bro. $2 more than it was when I bought it before.
But that's a good
So-
thing. Which means it'll get there.
Yeah.
Buy low,
I'm
sell
also-
high.
I'm also thinking about buying some Sony stock because they're kind of in the toilet right now after their 17-hour PSN outage last week.
Gosh.
I'm like, I don't know. Maybe we buy Sony while it's low, and then when they drop the PS6 in like a year, which is crazy to me because the PS5 barely has any games. And they're like,
Yeah.
new console. I'm like, well,
And it's
I
like,
mean,
but also, what could a PS6 give you that a 5 wouldn't? That would justify the price.
no disc drive.
All right. So it's more expensive with less features.
Yeah.
We're turning into Apple. What is this?
Well, that's what they did with the PS5 Pro. It was like $600 for the base console, and then $50 for a stand, and $70 for a
It's stupid.
for a disk drive, and you're
so
like
stupid.
almost $800 in.
Oh
Like,
my
dude,
gosh.
this is stupid.
Gosh.
But yeah, that's been
All
me
right.
playing Persona
Good word.
and investing in Nintendo. So
Put it on a hat. Playing Persona and investing in Nintendo. I have to ask, is that a One Piece hat?
it is a One Piece hat.
That's
What
my
gave it away?
that's my little knowledge. I was like, oh, it's a skull, but I knew it wasn't like Pirates of the Caribbean, so I was like, that
No,
was my
it's
next
a-
jump. Was
It's a Zoro hat because he got
is that the
three
One
swords.
Piece? Oh yeah.
It's not the One Piece. It's just
Zoro
a
is the One Piece.
Zoro is
Oh.
the guy with the
He,
swords.
he's one of the pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you
Okay,
see? This is really
so-
unrelated. Well, not really. Did you see they're doing One Piece Legos?
I did see that. I thought that was interesting.
I'm very
Do you think
excited.
there's
I will be
do you
buying
think there's potential for Legos to break into the anime sphere?
No. Because
Oh.
technically, the One Piece Lego sets are based on the live action show and not the anime,
Oh.
which I think is going to be their loophole of like, well, we're not doing anime per se. We're just doing
Right.
like this live action Netflix show that happens to be based on a manga, not an
Right.
anime.
Right.
So
That makes sense.
that's I also think it's
Yeah.
One Piece. It's like one of the biggest anime
Right.
out there.
It's
So I think they can get away with it.
transcended the niche. Yeah.
Just goes to
All
show
right,
Lego's
so-
not for kids anymore.
Shoot. All right. We don't have a ton of news. We just first of all, we just have one thing that we'd like to touch on that we think is hilarious and kind of dumb. Is that I don't have an article pulled up or anything on it. This was just a big like conversation on Twitter, and it was that lawmakers were trying to pass a bill that would require movie theaters to disclose how long the trailers are before a movie so that you knew when to get there. Essentially that would mean that like, oh, your local AMC would have to post on the theater X minutes of trailers before movie. And I just want to say that is a skill issue. That is stupid because you should know. You need to go to your local theater and know their pattern. It's part of the game. It's part of the experience. And I'm not trying to build a movie theater economy where everyone shows up after the trailers. That's not what we're trying to do. You're supposed to watch the trailers. That's part of the experience. That's part of what we're doing here. That's how you know. This is like a time-honored tradition that we're trying to like circumnavigate for the sake of convenience. And I think that's so stupid when like since the dawn of time, it was you wanted to see the coming attractions. That's the point. It's part of the experience and we can't circumnavigate. Like, can we not just take 15 minutes to watch what's coming up and get excited about it? How like starved for convenience do we feel that we can't just like enjoy 20 minutes of trailers not on your phone? Because think about that. If you're not watching theaters in the trailer, the only alternative is at home. But I don't watch trailers at home because I don't want to know. Like, right. I want to go into the movie blind. So the movie theater is my only intake of trailers. And I love that. I don't know. What do you think about that?
Well, I think it's really incredibly stupid. And like I was telling you, they didn't say what side the lawmaker was on, which is probably a good thing. But if I had to take a guess, he or she, I don't know, they didn't say who it was. They just said Connecticut lawmaker. Probably more on the right side of the aisle, if I had to guess. Although, I can't put it past either side because this bill is really stupid. So really anyone could do it at this point. But this just strikes me as one of those like, hey, we have the majority. Let's pass a bunch of stuff because everyone's going to agree. And I'm like, dude, this is stupid. Like,
no, yeah.
This is one of the things where I'm like, can we actually focus on things that matter? Like, I don't need a bill that tells me that there's 15 to 20 minutes of trailers before my movie starts. I already know that. Everybody already knows that. The assumption is that there is 15 to 20 minutes of a buffer. So if you don't want to watch trailers, you just walk in 15 to 20 minutes later and you hope for the best.
It's not like people are going to get there on time if you tell them what time it is.
Right.
That's like they're still going to be late and they're still going to be early. Like, it doesn't matter. It's
so dumb. And said,
yeah. And that's a big deal for like movie companies too, because that's where their like wide trailer releases still go.
Yep.
And so like if we suddenly saw a sharp decline on who was watching those trailers, your strategy would flip entirely on where you would be putting those.
Which would also not be great for movie theaters because they have to sell that spot. Like the trailer spots, you have to pay for those. So it would only hurt movie theaters because if you know the exact time, you know what? Hold on. I'd like to make an addendum to this bill. Can we change this bill? Instead of saying what time the movie starts, can we do a bill that says that the movie theater has to tell you if there's a post-credit scene or not and how many post-credit scenes there are? That is an infinitely better bill.
Googling it.
Because I'm really sick and tired of Googling it. When I'm sitting in the theater, I got crappy reception, and then I Google it, and it spoils what the post-credit scene is. It's literally that simple. Just tell me if there's a post-credit scene or not.
But also,
that's
I don't want to look like
I don't want to look like
an idiot. I don't want to look like an idiot if I'm the only one there and they're like trying to clean up the theater. Like, I'm trying to be nice. If they want to clean up and I should just leave, I will gladly leave.
Do you know how many Do you know how many people didn't know that Shadow was still alive at the end of Sonic 3? Because they didn't say anything about the post-credit scenes. Yep. I was like, all it takes is like a little sign, like a little sign. Could be digital, could be a piece of paper. I don't know. That just says Sonic 3, mid-credit, post-credit. Mufasa, credit. Like,
which also, like, maybe that's a broader conversation of, like, should we just like stop doing post-credit scene? Like that's actually a really nuanced conversation that we can get into talking about Marvel. Is like, is post-credit scene like an epidemic, or is this like something we still like doing?
I think it's good. Like, I think the Sonic movies utilized it really well because it actually is what Marvel post-credit scenes used to be, where it's, we're going to tease and set up for the next movie and give you a little taste of what it is, and that's it. And not this, like, oh, it's just a dumb blooper that we put at the end of the credits because you watched all the way through. Like, no, now I feel like my time is wasted. But if you use it properly, then I think it's fine. I just don't think every single movie needs a post-credit scene.
Right.
Like, not every Disney animated movie needs a post-credit scene because it's a standalone movie that's not setting anything up. So...
Yep.
Maybe don't.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Anyway,
I also
guys,
forgot to mention
let me
this
hear
during my weekly recap. I have said on the past couple episodes that there was a video that was coming out that I couldn't talk about yet. And it's out now, so I can talk about it. And it was my review of the pilot episode of Gabriel and the Guardians, which is the new like Angel Studios anime-inspired series. I couldn't say anything about it because I actually talked to them about getting it early so that I could put my video review out the day of, instead of having to scramble and do it after. So that was just a really cool experience because I've never gotten to like get anything early like that. And I did have to like do all the NDA stuff so I don't, leak it. Not that I was going to. Because if you have a respect for the project you're working on, like, you're not going to be like, hey guys, here's the whole thing. Like, so it was just a really cool experience, and I'm glad I got to do that. And I wanted to clarify that's what it was, just in case anybody was like waiting for the through
I was like,
line.
what is it? What is it?
So
you're like, no, that was it.
Follow-up point.
Good word. Very exciting.
I would also like to say this might be my favorite Twitter Explore AI summary. Mr. Beast's Beast Games finale. Taxation takes center stage. Because the person who won like the $10 million only gets $5 million of it because of taxes,
which is
so stupid.
Hilarious.
That's criminal.
Kind of hilarious.
Anyway,
oh my gosh.
Moving on.
Oh no, they only won $5 million.
Yeah,
That makes me so sad.
Can I take the other $5 million?
Literally. All right. Hey. Thank you guys for being here. I just wanted to say that. We're about to jump into our top 10 Marvel movies, which is what you're here for, and we can't wait to talk to you about that. But if you're not following us on Instagram at The Nerdiest Podcast, you should do that. Or watching video versions of this podcast on YouTube at The Nerdiest Podcast, you should do that. Or following our personal YouTubes and Instagrams, all with the links in the description. Or if that's not enough for you, make sure you go to thenerdiestpodcast.com and get some of our exclusive merch. And if you're listening on Spotify, you can comment and respond to the question sticker down below. So, speaking of that, we'd like to give a shout out to a very special someone who is known by us as nothing but Ethan. Ethan, we see your comments.
I appreciate you.
And we appreciate them so dearly. Ethan has been very clearly going through our entire backlog the last few weeks and has been commenting on every single one of them, his thoughts and opinions. And Ethan, one, I think you're pretty based. I think you have some pretty good takes out there. And we just appreciate you so much. So Ethan, if you'd like to send us an email or a DM on Instagram or Twitter, however, we'd love to get in contact with you, Ethan, because we'd like to send you something special. So Ethan, we're putting up the Ethan signal in Gotham right now. It just says Ethan. I have no other information but Ethan. If you are Ethan,
it's just a giant sign that says
contact us. It just says Ethan. If you are Ethan, send us a message. We'd love to get in contact with you and send you something special because we appreciate your engagement and just love you all very dearly. So thank you so much for listening. Mr. Nick, tell the people what we're doing today on our top 10 Marvel movies.
We're doing our first top 10 of 2025. And it's going to be our top 10 Marvel movies. As I forgot to text you about this last night.
Oh, shoot.
Are we doing, is this technically like top 10 MCU movies or is it top 10 Marvel movies? Because there is a distinction, because if you do Marvel, that includes like Sam Raimi, Spider-Man, X-Men, Into the Spider-Verse. I didn't include any of those. I just went based off
I'm
of the
doing
MCU.
top 10 MCU.
Okay.
I could I didn't think about that. I don't know if any of those movies would have made it in my top 10 anyway.
Yeah, me either.
But for the sake of consistency, we will say top 10 MCU movies.
Yeah.
The title is going to be Marvel, though, because that's better for SEO, and you guys are just going to have to deal with that. So we have our top 10 MCU movies today in honor of Captain America Brave New World coming out, a movie that we have not seen yet. But we're going to get into a broader conversation about Marvel at the end. And honestly, I can say two things is putting together this list. One was a lot easier than I thought it would be. I think I've kind of known what my favorite Marvel movies are for a while. I just never really visualized it. But two, it also made me realize I was like, dude, Marvel has some bangers, and I really forget how their movies used to genuinely be so freaking good.
Yeah.
And as we talk about it, I'm gonna get super nostalgic about it. So, Mr. Nick, hit me with a number 10. Also, let me just ask how you want to do this. If we have, say, this is an example. It's not this. Let's say my number 10 is the Marvels, right? If your number 2 is the Marvels, are you going to talk about the Marvels then?
I think we'll do it like our top 10 Disney movies.
Mm-hmm.
Where was it Disney movies or maybe it was Pixar?
Where as long as it's out of the top 3.
If it's not in top 3, we'll talk about it. But if it's in your top 3, just save it.
All right, cool.
So there was
Good
something
word.
else I was gonna ask, and I forgot.
Well, we'll just jump in and see what happens.
Can't be that
All
important.
Right. Hand me with a number 10.
10
No.
is Avengers Endgame.
Ooh.
Okay, I was putting this list together last night, and I know I said it was easy earlier when we were talking before we started recording. It was kind of hard in the sense of I needed 10.
Yeah.
I really only had 5 that I was like, yes, I feel confident in this. And then
felt
the rest
that
are kind of
but I had 7.
I guess I could
like
push
these.
myself. I think I got myself to 8, and I was like, okay, this is pretty solid. And then I needed 2 more. So Endgame is good. I'm not putting it here to say that it's bad, but I do think it struggles, and I don't think any of the other films in this, at least on my list, as I'm looking at it, I don't think any of the other films struggle as much with being a bottle movie. You can't really watch Endgame on its own. You have to watch it after Infinity War for it to get the whole effect. It also runs into that issue because it was trying to culminate and wrap up the entirety of the MCU up to that point. And a lot of the other movies, like Ant-Man, doesn't have to do that.
Right.
Captain Marvel doesn't have to do that. Black Panther doesn't have to do that. So
it had a big task.
It had a very big task, and it's a good movie for what it did, and I appreciate it. But I don't know. I also think Endgame is on here also because I will never forget that theater experience.
Yeah.
Of buying out an entire row of seats and selling off tickets to all my friends, and we all pulled up at the theater at the same time, and we sat down and we experienced it together. I don't know. I think that might be one of the last good theater experiences I've had with a large group of friends, because there hasn't been another thing that's done that, which is also why I'm so excited for the Demon Slayer movies. Because I feel like that's another, I have a big enough group of friends who are into Demon Slayer that we can all, go as this big group and experience this all together. So, I don't know. Endgame's good, but it's not, better than 10.
I'm going to say that Endgame is not on my top 10.
Really?
Which, a lot of people would say is criminal. I think Endgame really only succeeds at what it's trying to do in the last hour of its 3-hour run.
Oh,
and I think I didn't love how they did time travel. I didn't love their time skip. I didn't I didn't love a lot of what they did. But then like in the last hour, it tightened up so well to like conclude the arguably the biggest movie franchise of our time, so well and so big and so hype in a way that we still talk about. But like you said, like I'm not just gonna turn it on. Like it's not gonna just be like one of my favorites. So fascinatingly enough, your number 10 was the last in the timeline. Mine is the first. It's Captain America: The First Avenger.
Whoa.
Is now number 10. This is a movie that like I had the DVD in like middle school, and like I would just put it in, and I just like growing up in the South, like you're around a lot of like yeehaw, God's country, America stuff, and I never really super bought into it. But this movie gets me feeling a certain way where I'm like, God bless the USA. Like
Some about fighting Nazis, man.
So no, literally, like Captain America, this one specifically, because I love the war setting, and I think it just like sets up Steve Rogers so well and sets up Bucky so well to like continue on, and it's just like, God bless our troops, God bless America. Like we're back, we're in, and it's like the setting is so unique and cool, and it's kind of espionage-y because we're doing that, and it's like peak Hydra and like all the World War II stuff. So I don't know, Captain Carter, like all this stuff. It's all just super cool and nostalgic and fun.
That's fair. I don't know how long it's been since I've watched the first Avenger.
I watched it
Like,
4th of July.
I have
gnarly.
not seen that. I think I've only seen that movie once. And it
There's
was
a
like
lot of Marvel movies I've only
way
seen
back
once.
in 2012.
There's some Marvel movies I've never seen. Like I've never seen the first 2 Thor movies.
What? Fake fan?
I've never seen Iron Man 3.
You've never seen Iron Man 3?
Nope.
Dude, that's criminal.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
criminal. Oh my goodness. The only Marvel movies I haven't seen are like the newer ones.
Yeah. No,
Like,
I haven't.
the
Post Endgame.
Post Endgame, I'm a little spotty,
Ugh.
but everything like
Yeah.
pre Endgame, I've seen at least once, including Edward Norton's Hulk,
Whoa.
which is not a great movie,
Ooh.
but that's
All right.
neither here nor there.
All right. Hit me with a number 9.
Number 9, this one might shock you. Might
Oh.
shock you.
Shock.
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
3.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Fascinating.
So aside from this movie came out on my 21st birthday, like that was such a big hype thing.
Right.
Yeah. I think it's good, but I also think, in my opinion, and I know this is not like the common opinion, I think
Right.
it's the weakest in the trilogy. But that doesn't mean it's bad. It's still an incredible movie and an incredible trilogy, but just out of the 3, I feel like it was the weakest of the 3 in terms of how much I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But I still think it was a fun time. I did like tear up in the theater a little bit towards the end, and also this felt like a good like I'm done with Marvel type thing, because Guardians was like the last trilogy that I cared about. So now that it was over, it was okay for me to move on. And I kind of I looped back for Loki season 2, and then I was like, okay, now we're really done. I don't think I've done anything Marvel since then except for Deadpool and Wolverine. I think that was it.
We didn't know how good we had it. We didn't realize. Dude.
You were cooking. And now
thinking about that first season of Loki, I was like, ugh. I remember rewinding an episode of Loki to listen to the soundtrack again.
Yeah.
Like that's how good it was. Oh my gosh. Yeah, Guardians 3 is gas. I have it on Blu-ray. It's not on my list either.
I don't have it on Blu-ray. I need to get it on Blu-ray so I can have the whole trilogy.
I got it for Quimus.
I would I aspire one day to, so I have a friend who has like a ceiling shelf in his like man cave, and on that he has all his DVDs.
Freaking nerds.
And I was
dog.
like, dude, I would kill to have all of the Star Wars movies, all of the MCU movies up to Endgame, like all of the Lord of the Rings, all of the Hobbit, like all of the quintessential nerd movies. I'm like, dude, that would go crazy.
All right. My number 9 is also controversial, and this is a movie that I have like defended really hard for a long time. Because this is the first Marvel movie. This is when I jumped on the Marvel train in, I guess, middle school. And I saw this movie opening day with no context of any other Marvel movie. And I was locked in from there on out. And that is Avengers Age of Ultron.
Yeah!
Yes. Listen, I'm tired of pretending that Age of Ultron is not a good movie. It is actually really well done. The pacing is a little rough, I will give you that. But I feel like the intro scene is huge. It ends huge. It add like Scarlet Witch and the Quicksilver bit, like that was done really well. You really flesh out like Natasha and Bruce Banner together. You kind of like start to build tension on Iron Man and Captain America leading up to Civil War. Like Age of Ultron set the groundwork for the rest of the Avengers, and we're sitting here acting like this sucked. Like, the events of Age of Ultron is what set up pretty much the rest of the MCU. Like, it gives you Vision, it gives you Wanda, it's the Sokovian problem, it's the whole, like, it sets up the geopolitical issues. And I'm tired of pretending that it sucks because it's genuinely a really great movie. That's my bit. Thank you.
Okay, so Age of Ultron is my number 7.
Oh, okay. It's higher up.
I am so sick of people hating this movie.
Yes.
It's so good.
Yes.
Like you said, it sets up.
Yes.
I think the reason people don't like it is because it is a very, like, setup-y type movie. And going into an Avengers movie, you expect, like, because we had only had the first Avengers movie, which was a culmination, like, team movie. So then to do another culmination team movie, but it's more of, like, setting things up.
Like, we're going to get there.
Civil War, which then felt like another culmination team movie because of everyone that was in it. It just felt a little weird. But it does set up all of that really well. And I think, I don't know, I think Ultron is my favorite MCU villain. Like,
dude, he's good.
James Spader did such a good job. That was such
Robert
a good
California.
cast. Oh my goodness.
Oh my
I
gosh.
love Ultron because he's such a good, convincing villain. He spent 5 minutes with humanity and was like, all right, they got to go.
Yeah,
Bye.
no, literally. He's valid.
It's such a good movie. And I like the conflict and the tension and how it, like, does lead into the Sokovia Accords and, like, okay, well, these heroes have kind of, you know, been going pretty unchecked for a while, and you just dropped a chunk of land and killed all of these people. Like
that kind of sucks.
Maybe we need some kind of government oversight here.
Yeah.
Because it was also, like, in a foreign country.
Right.
So it was a really interesting thing, and it sets up, you know, Vision, Wanda, which gave us WandaVision, and kind of sucks that Quicksilver died in the first movie he was in, but I also appreciate the character arc of coming full circle.
What do you mean?
That.
He came back as Ralph Boner. What are you talking about?
Oh, yeah, no, you're right. You're right. My bad.
Oh, my bad.
You're so
Lord.
right. So yeah, Age of Ultron, goated.
Yeah. All right. Hit me with a number 8. Let me hear it.
Number 8. Funnily enough, the movie we were just talking about, Captain America: Civil War.
Oh, okay, I see.
Good movie. And honestly, Avengers 3.5 or 2.5.
No, literally,
because this was pre-Infinity War. Dude. All right, let me ask: were you a Team Cap or a Team Iron Man?
I was Team Cap, just from, like, my connection to him. Like, I was so, like, God bless America. Like, we need to, like, fight for our, like, freedom and our independence. Because I was so, like, I don't know. Because wasn't Iron Man on the side of, like, Wait, who was on what side? I'm trying to remember.
Iron Man was, like, pro-Sokovia Accords, where he's like, yeah, we probably should have some kind of parameter here.
Right.
So that we can keep doing what we're doing. And Cap was like, well, no, I don't want to not be able to save someone because the government said not to.
Right. And that's what, like, I always struggled with that idea. And I was like, this is really, really nuanced. But knowing, like, Cap's story, I was like, yeah, I was more on his side. Civil War is my number 6. I have Civil War on here. I think it is probably one of the darkest movies we saw in the MCU.
Yeah,
and
Rhodey
I
gets
was
shot
so
out of the sky.
Dude, he gets shot out
And
of the
is
sky. You find the
paralyzed
dude,
for the rest of the series.
You find the dude like dead in the bathtub, and like we're like waterboarding people, and we're like they went there. And Captain America versus Iron Man, when he just like beats the crap out of him, like. And I know this was like a whole thing where people were like, we don't want to see heroes fighting each other because it was like the Batman v Superman craze and Civil War. Like
Civil War was so much better.
Oh, duh. And so like this was a whole, people were like, oh, I don't want to see it. But I'm like, no, genuine question, who would win? Like, they're valid. It's also like you're not
Iron Man
going
would
to
have
put
won
these...
if he didn't get double teamed by Cap and
No,
Bucky.
literally. But the thing is, like, you have to ask, like, you're not going to throw these, like, egotistical superhumans on a team together and they're all just going to play nice. Like, we kind of, like, explored that idea a little more. And so Civil War is Avengers 2.5, and I'm not mad. It's gas.
I was a pretty hardcore team Iron Man.
Okay.
Mainly because I liked Iron Man. Not because
Yeah.
of the, like, whole government oversight type thing.
Right, same.
So aesthetically, I was Team Iron Man. Morally,
Right.
Team Cap, all the way. Because I
Right.
like what he had to say about, well, if the government says don't go save those people in a burning building, am I not allowed to do that even though it's the right thing to do?
Right.
Just because, like, there's government red tape keeping me from doing what I need to do. So I
Right.
did appreciate that. And it is a really dark movie. Now that I go back and I think about it, I'm like,
Yep.
shoot, dude.
We did a lot.
That is kind of dark. I also, I don't know. I think it continues a lot of, like, and it builds that tension of,
Mm-hmm.
well, now our heroes are divided, and now is like
Yeah.
the best time for Thanos to kind of come in because
Yeah.
they're divided and they're not working together. And even the whole, like, conflict Cap had with knowing that Bucky killed Tony's parents and
Right.
didn't tell him, and then he finds out by watching this recording. I think Tony was kind of justified in what he did.
Right. No, he was, for sure.
Like-
he had a great motive.
You know, and
This is
that's what
good
gets into,
writing.
like, the weeds of, like, well, he was being brainwashed. It wasn't really him doing it. And it's
Right.
like, well,
And
now
you're
he's not
like-
brainwashed. So there's this whole thing, and I'm like, dude, we don't make him like we used to.
No, truly. There was so much nuance.
There is. All right,
Gosh.
hit me with a number 7.
All right.
Because I already gave my number
Number-
7.
I'm at number 8.
Oh, you're so right.
I'm at 8. There we go. Number 8, ready? I went back and forth on this one a lot, but it's a movie I've seen a lot and a movie that I could turn on at any point and really, really enjoy, and that's Ant-Man.
Yep, I had a feeling it was going to be on here
love
somewhere.
Ant-Man. I love Ant-Man. I love Paul Rudd. I love Michael Douglas. I love Michael Cera, and like his whole bit, like, what's his name? Is it Luis?
I think so.
His friend. Okay, Michael Cera in this movie is so funny. His character's like the best part of the movie, and he's so iconic and hilarious. But like, we kind of like. Marvel went into this weird era where we were like, let's grab comedians, make them super ripped, and then throw them in a superhero movie. And it worked like so well.
Yes.
And it turned them into action stars. Like you have Chris Pratt, you have your Paul Rudd, and so like it added this element to it that were like Ant-Man was so charming and funny because Paul Rudd gave the character that. And I think that like he is such a very impressive role in that movie, and he transformed into Ant-Man so well, especially given his previous career. And I wouldn't even say that Paul Rudd is defined by Ant-Man. I think his career is so much broader than Ant-Man, and that's why I really appreciate that he did Ant-Man so well, because it wasn't his personality in the same way like, you know, RDJ is Iron Man or Chris Evans is Captain America. Like, Paul Rudd is Paul Rudd, and he gave Ant-Man such a good personality that I really appreciate. And I thought the villain was really cool. The tech was all really awesome. So I don't know. It's really funny and just like a great watch. So it's a great like heist movie too. Like, I don't know. Ant-Man is just really, really comforting, and I think it's really funny and just did its job so well.
Fair enough. I had to give my number 7. It was Age of Ultron. So
Is Ant-Man not on your list?
no,
Daggum.
I've seen Ant-Man
All right.
once, and I was
All
like,
right.
it was good.
All right. Ready? Number 7 for me. The man who started it all, Iron Man. The first Iron Man. What do you mean what?
It's crazy low, dude. Crazy tech.
I don't
Number
know.
7?
It's very good. Jon Favreau cooked. RDJ cooked. Like, it started it all, and when you watch that movie, you really realize they knew what they were doing from day one. Like, they knew what they were doing. And so it's like so impressive in that way, and it started off so well. But I also think like it will never be my favorite because I wasn't on the hype train for it when it was out. I have seen it and I've watched it and I love it, and the main villain looks like my grandfather, and so it's like I really love the movie, and the soundtrack is awesome, and like it's Robert Downey Jr.'s like defining performance, but like, and I love Jon Favreau as a director and an actor. Like he's one of my favorite filmmakers, truly, but also just like it's never going to be the one that I first turn on first, but I really appreciate what it did, and I think the whole like him in the cave and like it sets up like 25 other movies so well in a way that doesn't feel like a setup movie, if that makes sense. Like Iron Man did the setup movie before Age of Ultron, and it did it like in a much more subtle way that you wouldn't expect. So Iron Man number 7.
Fair enough.
I already gave my number 6 is Civil War, so let me hear yours.
My number 6 is a movie that I'm tired of people dragging.
Oh.
Iron Man 2.
Wow.
Iron Man
really?
2. I rewatched it last year. Goated with the sauce.
Iron Man 2.
I think it's the weakest of the trilogy. I don't know. Because the Iron Man trilogy is solid, right? They're all good. I think, I don't know. That's hard. I think Iron Man 2 has a lot of cool concepts. Like, I really love his suitcase, suit that, like that scene where he slides it across the road and he steps
That's
on it
pretty
and
awesome.
picks it up
Yeah.
and does it. I'm like, dude, that's so cool. I wish I could do that. But Iron Man 2, I think it is the weakest because I wasn't a big fan of the villain.
No, the villain's not.
And they brought in like Justin Hammer, and then have still never done anything. And that movie came out in what, 2010? So
yeah,
15 years ago, and they still haven't done anything with that plot line. So I enjoy it. I think bringing in Rhodey as War Machine was cool. This was after they recast him, by the way, because he was someone different in Iron Man, and then they recast him for the rest of the MCU.
Oh, you're right.
It was not Don Cheadle the whole time.
You're right.
So it continues a lot of the things that I think the first Iron Man movie did well, but it's not the best out of the trilogy.
Well, the villain was not great, but it did bring Black
Widow
Widow
had a cool
in.
concept of like
Great. Right.
kind of a foil almost, where it's like, oh, I have an arc reactor. Here's what I can do with it, and like doing all the whippy stuff and like there's a really cool concept. Also, did you know Elon Musk is in this movie?
Really?
Yeah, he
Where?
makes a cameo when they're in like Italy.
That's hilarious.
He does like a cameo. He's like, "Hey, I'm trying to get you to buy some SpaceX or something or Tesla," and Tony was like, "No, thank you," and then he walks away. It was like a really small cameo.
He knew.
He knew the he knew the Cybertruck.
He saw
was
the
coming.
future.
He's like, no,
he saw the future.
Don't do this to me.
All right, top 5. Ready for number 5?
Number 5.
Number 5.
Oh, that's
Avengers: Infinity War.
Oh wait, no, it is you. You're right.
No, it's me. Yeah. Avengers: Infinity War, my number 5. Similar to like Endgame, I think this is one of the last. This is maybe the biggest theater experience I've ever had, because I went not just opening day, but to the pre-show, and the theater oversold, and we waited in the theater an hour for the next showing. Like it was like you couldn't, there was not an open seat. Like it was such a big deal. So many people in their Marvel t-shirts just like living their lives. Now, here's the thing. Infinity War, if you know, spoiler alert, everyone freaking dies in Infinity War.
It's a movie where that spoiler is true.
Right, truly. And so everyone experienced that together. It was almost like a shared grief because we were all like, oh my gosh. And I remember my mom came and picked us up and she thought like a tragedy had happened in the movie theater because everyone came out so shocked. Like she genuinely told me, she's like, I thought there was like a shooting or something because it looked like you guys came out of a funeral. Like we were all just like,
You did.
And we did. And it was like, I remember sobbing in that theater. And then it like, you could hear a pen drop. Like it cut to black and we're like,
What?
What? Because that was so like against the grain of what we expected Infinity War to be. And then we had to wait for Endgame. So it was like, oh my gosh. So anyway, Avengers Infinity War hit my number 5. I will watch Infinity War over Endgame any day of the week. And I will die on that hill.
100%.
Die on that hill.
100%. I think it's also because it's not 3 hours long.
No, literally.
Just saying.
There you go.
So my number 5 is Iron Man 3.
You have both Iron Mans on. That's, oh my gosh. Okay. Why
and they're
Iron
back
Man
to
3?
back too. I think that's really funny.
Right. Why Iron Man 3?
So I'm just gonna be real, right? Let me be completely honest and transparent with you,
keep it
as
100.
the audience. I like Iron Man 3 because it's fun, and I think Tony's existential character arc of like, because this is the first Iron Man movie that's post Avengers, so he has that PTSD from the New York attack, and they kind of go into that of like him carrying all this burden on his shoulders and like how that starts affecting other people, and he gets really arrogant and is like, all right, fine, Mr. Terrorist Man, here's my address.
Right.
Like, let me dox myself real quick. Come find me. Because he doesn't think it's legit, and then they blow up his house and kidnap his girlfriend, and he almost dies, and like it's a very humbling, like sobering thing for him to then have to work his way up from essentially nothing in this shed with this kid. And like, I don't think the villain's great. I think the like weird fire people are kind of weird because it never gets brought up again. But I also kind of wish the terrorist group was, because it would have come full circle from like the first movie where he got kidnapped by the terrorists.
Right.
Which also, can we talk about the first movie like legit had him just killing terrorists in the Middle East?
No, literally, he was just straight up in the Middle East.
Like, that was the power of 2008.
What a different political climate that was. Like, in 2008, Robert Downey Jr. could kill terrorists, and we said, hell yeah. Come on.
Yeah. So, yeah, that it just would have come full circle that way. But I do like I like it. I also like the romance subplot with him and Pepper, and like he finally, you know, mustered up and was like, all right, well, let me get this like shrapnel out of my heart so I can live normally. And we see how that like came into play later down the line in the series. But I think Iron Man 3 is good. I'm really tired of people crapping on it because it like
I need
has
to watch
the weird
it.
fire people. I'm like, dude, okay, there is like one scene where he's fighting this girl in a kitchen, and I kid you not, there's a cut every 0.5 seconds. Like,
really?
It's literally back and forth cutting. It's awful. But
that's rough. That's
other
rough.
than that, I think it's a good movie. I enjoy it.
Okay, I need to watch it. I need to give it a chance. I want to do a full rewatch so bad, but it's such a commitment.
It is.
Like, you gotta be in for the long haul.
You gotta wait till you and Amy move into your apartment.
Yeah, we gotta wait till we're married. We have a lot of movies we want to watch like when we're married, but we just like don't have the time to like sit down together like every night and watch them.
That's so
anyway,
fair.
Whew, all right. I also like I want to watch all the Mission Impossible movies, but there's like 7 of them, and so I'm like,
womp
anyway.
womp. Come on, man, that's not that many. It could be Fast and the
It's not that
Furious
bad.
where
You
there's
can
like 30.
Nah, well, there's like 10. Still more. Anyway, number 4. Ready? This is all right. I'm not gonna say that. Ready? Number 4. Spider-Man Homecoming
Okay, that's fair.
with Tom Holland. I think this is maybe one of, if not the best Spider-Man movie we've ever made. I think there's so many interpretations of Spider-Man, and you could be like, oh, it's so basic to like the MCU Spider-Man. Dog, look, Tom Holland did a great job as Spider-Man. He killed.
He did.
He was so nerdy. He was so awkward. And here's the thing. Everyone always says, like, Tobey Maguire was the best Peter Parker. Andrew Garfield is a great Spider-Man. But Tom Holland did both so well, guys. Like, I'm tired of pretending that Tom Holland isn't the best Spider-Man. I'm tired of pretending he's not. Because here's the thing. He meshed the two so well. He was super nerdy, but he was also a great, like, friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. He was the neighborhood Spider-Man. And he connected so well with Tony Stark because they had, like, their tech together. And it was like they had that shared relationship. And it added so much to the character to have that mentorship between them. And it tied into the MCU so well. And it just, like... You're telling me that you didn't sob in Infinity War when he's like, Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good. Don't lie to me. Look me in the eyes and tell me you sobbed. That's what I thought. He was so compelling as Spider-Man, okay? He is so compelling, so relatable, so sweet. Zendaya is the perfect Mary Jane Watson. Like, it is chef's kiss, like the quintessential Spider-Man. Michael Keaton, dog. Michael Keaton is in this movie, and it's so freaking good. Ned, his friend Ned, his guy in the chair. The more I think about this movie, the more I'm like, yes, gas. Cannot get enough of it. Shoot this in my veins. Anyway.
Is that your number
That's
4
what
or
I
your
got.
number 5?
That's 4. 5 was Infinity War.
Oh, you're so right. You're so right.
Mm-hmm. All
My
right,
number
hit me with it.
4 might be a little controversial for it to be this high.
Oh, okay.
But it's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
2?
I
expected this to be higher on your list.
Yeah, I know. And it is. And so as I was putting in this list, no, I can't say that. I can't say that yet.
I'm about to edit my list.
I was trying to put this list together, and I was like, where do I feel like Guardians 2 should go? And as I was thinking about it, I was like, I feel like I can't go any higher than this based on what's on the rest of my list. But I do really love Volume 2. I think when I talk about the Guardians trilogy, I think 1 has the best soundtrack, but 2 has I like the story a little more and how like it intertwines with Peter Quill. And I think that's also because of like my own personal relationship with father figures and stuff. So there's that aspect of it that like makes it relatable for me and why I like it. I also feel like it has the Guardians as an established group now. Like the first one's good. It sets everything up and like, you know, you're like, it sets them up and they're like, yeah. But now they're an established group with inside jokes and they're bouncing off each other really well. And like, it just becomes that found family, like, so I just think that's really good. And then you have like Nebula's redemption arc kind of, and obviously Yondu.
Rest in peace.
One up for the homie.
Mary Poppins, y'all.
But yeah,
that man
Guardians
may have
2,
been your father, but he ain't your daddy.
So also the first Guardians movie to come out on my birthday, and then because Guardians 2 was May 5th, 2017, and Guardians 3 was May 5th, 2021 or 23.
Oh yeah.
So we came like full circle. It was kind of crazy.
What's crazy is I almost saw this movie in IMAX. I was really close to seeing it in IMAX.
So cool.
I know. But we were in Missouri and we checked online and we're like, oh, tickets are available. It was like a last minute decision. We were like, oh, tickets are available. Let's just go. We were literally in the parking lot and we like walked up and we were like, hey, we want to see Guardians 2. And she was like, I just sold the last 2 tickets. And I was like, from the time it took us to walk from the car to the theater, they sold out. And I'm still kind of mad about it. Anyway, that's a good pick. All right, guys. Top 3. Best of the best.
Top 3. I'm interested to see what's in here.
Ready? Ready? I just swapped my 1 and 2 because I was thinking about it and I couldn't I couldn't justify it.
Okay.
Ready? Number 3, Captain America: The Winter Soldier.
Ooh.
That's I have all the Captain America movies on my top 10, but The Winter Soldier is the perfect like spy espionage thriller combined with a superhero epic, because it's all of the like, bless you, it's all of like shield crumbling and like Nick Fury like orchestrating all this stuff, but then like Cap is there and he like, I think this is his best suit. I think his Captain America suit from like Winter Soldier is gas. And then I think like there's a relationship with Bucky is fleshed out so well, and like as a standalone movie, the story just like it's not we don't deserve it. Like Marvel does not deserve how good this story is. And I think like it's also from a filmmaking perspective maybe one of the best Marvel's done, because it's like actually has like cinematography and all this stuff like considered in it. So I don't know, I really do think that it's just worth the hype, and it's that good, and it's like peak Bucky, peak Cap, like gas.
Yeah,
it's just gas overall.
That's real.
Let me hear.
Number 3, Avengers: Infinity War.
Ooh,
Easy money.
Top 3.
Easy money.
That's wild.
Easy money. Mainly because, kind of like what I was talking about with Endgame, I think a big influence in me liking this movie is the group experience of us all going to see it together. I can, I can describe that day to you, like start to finish. I got up, I went to work at Publix in the morning. We were going to see it in the afternoon on this Saturday, because we had to go the day. We couldn't go Friday because our prom was on Friday. And then the same thing happened with Endgame, which I thought was really funny. But our prom was that Friday night, so we went to prom.
Right.
I went home, went to work Saturday morning, came home, showered. I was ready to go. My uncle came and picked me up. We drove to the theater. Like, all my friends were there. We watched it together, all like collectively freaked out, and then started theorizing after of like, well, how are we going to get over this? I didn't think like
what's next?
And I remember going in and being like, oh, well, Thanos isn't going to get all the Infinity Stones this movie because it's a 2-part movie. Like, he's going to get them all in the second. And it's like, no, boom. And
dead.
It's just such a crazy movie because it's also a really good movie. And I think it balances the multiple like plots well, and then ties every, because it goes from like ABCD plot to ABC to AB, and it like combines 2 of the subplots into one subplot, and then you only have the 2
so
subplots.
Well.
And I think it was a dream come true for me to see Iron Man and Peter Quill interacting together.
Yes.
That was so good. I was like, yes, yeah. And that whole fight on Titan with Thanos is still like my favorite Iron Man fight.
No,
he's
truly.
using all the nanotech, and like Thanos throws a moon at him, and he's like, if you throw another moon at me, we're gonna have a problem.
Right. So quippy, dude.
It's good.
Also, screw Peter Quill. He killed. He killed all of them.
No. I don't stand by that take. That's a bad take.
I don't know.
I used to have such a good defense for this.
It's been we're out of practice. We haven't had to talk about Infinity War in years.
But I was like, nah, man. There was literally no one to stop him. Because everyone was like either holding Thanos. He was the only one who wasn't holding Thanos. So it's not like anybody could just walk up and grab him.
Right.
And I'm like, I don't know. I see both sides of it where I'm like, you could have waited just 5 more seconds, man. Could have gotten this thing off. You could start hitting him all you want.
Right.
So I see both sides of it, but I also like.
But also, it's so in character for him to do that.
100%.
Like,
So,
all right.
That's my number 3.
Number 2. Are you ready?
I am.
Second best Marvel movie ever made, IMO. I saw this movie for my 15th birthday. All right. Right after I got my phone. Like, Dead serious. I got my phone for the first time, and me and my dad went and got pizza, and it was really good pizza.
What Marvel
At
movie
the
came
at the
out in
Hamilton
December?
Place. We saw it at the Hamilton Place Mall. Do you
At
know
that Regal?
Yeah, we saw it at the Regal there,
Yep.
and we ate at the Old Chicago Pizza
Oh,
right
that's
there.
so
Like,
real.
that place was so
Yeah.
good. Anyway, which is crazy because you knew me at that. Like, we were like, anyway, we lived at the same place at that point. But we saw Thor Ragnarok, and dude, that movie changed my brain's chemistry in a way that I cannot explain, because it was they gave Taika Waititi one of the most like serious and like not really liked characters in Marvel, and he just took it and cooked. Like, he really just like, he made it so funny and so heartwarming and so endearing, and guys, let's be real, he made Chris Hemsworth funny, which is wildly impressive. So, but also, like, think about the aesthetic of the movie. Like, the soundtrack is so good, and like, it's so colorful and like otherworldly. It had a really great villain. It tied the Hulk in so well, and so just like, it's so quotable. I quote this movie all the time. I always go, "Piss off, Ghost," or you can go, say, it sounds like something Doug used to say. "I like you, new Doug." And so like it all just comes together. Like, I saw it on my birthday. I think I still have my ticket stub from that day, which is like crazy because it was like 6 years ago. But like it just all comes together to be like, what is there to dislike? Like, it's hilarious. Right. It's shot so well. It's so colorful. All the characters come together super well. Like, the soundtrack, like. And then like the final fight where like he like bursts out from the like below, and it just like, it achieved the spectacle that Marvel was known for in a way that wasn't corny, which was so impressive. And then like, to give such a weird director like Taika Waititi a movie, like a franchise movie like that, was so bold, and it paid off so well because it stands alone so well and is so different from what we usually got from Marvel. So there you go, Thor Ragnarok in my number 2 spot.
All right. My number 2. I'm now a little concerned we're going to have the same number 1 now that you've switched them around.
Okay.
I guess we'll find out here momentarily.
We
but
will
my
find
number
out.
2 is Iron Man 1.
I knew it. I knew you would have all your Iron Man movies
Come on,
in
man.
here.
Come on, man.
It's gas.
Iron
It's
Man
good.
1,
It's
so
good.
good, dude.
It's good.
So I watched Iron Man when it came out in 2008, but not in theaters. I watched it on DVD because I had just like come off my Transformers phase.
Right.
And this was after I was like blacklisted from watching Transformers 1 for repeating a word that I wasn't supposed to. Again, I'll let the audience decide which word in an hour and a half, 2 hour long movie it was.
He said stupid.
I did. So I like needed something else to hyperfixate on. 'Cause Star Wars was in a lull, right? So my uncle was really into the comics and like really into all of the nerdy Marvel stuff. So we started watching the first Iron Man.
Right.
But then like we got to that scene where he sleeps with that girl and they show it in the movie. And my mom was like, pause. And then she was like, leave the room. And I had to walk out of the room while she fast forwarded through the scene. And then I could watch everything else. Because in my mom's mind, and this is kind of based actually, it was never the violence that was the problem.
Right.
It was always the sexual stuff. And I'm like, you know what? That's so fair.
She's real, because you're not going to think like, oh, I should go be a terrorist after watching Iron Man
1.
Right. Right.
But you may see something that's not good for a 6-year-old to see.
Right.
So that's very based and true.
Yeah.
So
she's real for that.
Iron Man 1, it's so good. Solidified Iron Man is my fave. I've always been an Iron Man fan because I like all the tech. All of the like tech of the suit, and like when he's walking and like the machines taking off all the different stuff, and like I really love the suitcase from Iron Man 2, the like tracking suit from Iron Man 3, which you wouldn't know because you haven't seen it. But it's like the suit that like follows him anywhere, and he can equip it.
Yeah.
And then from Infinity War, he had the nano suit that he like double tapped his chest, and it like turned into the whole thing, and like that was really cool. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Iron Man's my go.
I get it. All right. Stop me if this is your number one as well.
Okay.
Number one, based on the comic, and now has a hit ride at Epcot and Disney World, is none other than the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Is that yours? Yes. Let's go. All right. Dude, Guardians of the Galaxy, I have the poster right here. Like, I've been spoiling it the whole time if you're watching the video. But also, like, Guardians of the Galaxy, I think, is the quintessential essence of what a Marvel movie should be. It is outer space. It is aliens. It is sci-fi. It is weird and wacky. It's big action. It's like quippy, like crude humor that just like doesn't stop, and it's all guns a-blazing, like super cool, like boss fight scenes. But it's also like, at the end of the day, it's also about like found family and like finding his identity and who he really was, but also like, you know, kind of accepting who he was instead of trying to like understand who his past was. And like that redemption arc and all of that, like the crew of misfits coming together for a common goal. What else do you want in a Marvel movie? And it has maybe the most iconic like jukebox soundtrack ever. Like, it is such an intentional combination of music that I have on vinyl that I turn on all the time because it's gas. And so it's like, what else could I ask for? It has an all-star cast. It has amazing cinematography. Like, James Gunn just like took this movie and ran. The script is phenomenal. Like, there's so much emotion and heart. It's so funny. The villain is great. Like, it has the scale. Guardians of the Galaxy is probably the Marvel movie I've seen the most. Like, I have seen it maybe like 20 times in my life. No joke.
Oh, I might have you beat on that one.
Oh gosh. Hit me. What's your thoughts? Hit me with Guardians review.
Guardians of the Galaxy was a movie I was only allowed to watch because Chris Pratt was in it. And I don't know if it was necessarily fully appropriate for 12-year-old me, but I was really excited because I love Chris Pratt. 2014 was the year of Chris Pratt.
It was, dude. It was.
The Lego movie and Guardians of the Galaxy.
Get out of here.
Crazy tech.
Who do you think you are?
But I remember watching it, and I really loved it because it was just fun and out there and engaging, and it has a great soundtrack. Like I said, I think Guardians 1 has the best soundtrack of the entire...
I do. I agree.
Like, of the entire thing. And I don't know. There's just something about the characters that really, like, captured me.
They resonate.
And they resonated with me a lot. And I was like, dang, it's kind of fire.
It could.
And then when the movie came out, I don't remember how. Oh, I do. I stole my uncle's digital copy of Guardians of the Galaxy because he had the DVD and he hadn't redeemed the code yet. So I stole his code and I redeemed it on my account, and I still have it. But I watched that digital copy, dude. If it was a DVD, it would be broken. It would be broken. Like,
yeah.
I have that movie pretty much memorized front to back. Or I used to. Maybe
same.
Not as much now.
Yeah,
but
same.
I would sit in the car and like watch it all the way through, get to the end, be like, okay, go back to the beginning. Like, we had a really long car trip to Florida or something that year.
Run it back.
I was like, all right, run it back, doing it again. And
we do it again.
I don't know. It's just one of those that stuck with me. I want to rewatch it soon.
I do too. I want to rewatch all three of them, like, in succession.
Yeah. I wanted to do that before 3 came out. And like watch the other two, and I never got around to doing it.
It's so hard to get to it. Here's the thing: I was only allowed to watch Guardians of the Galaxy because when did that come out? Was that in the spring that it came out?
It was in like the late summer. It was like August.
Okay,
I think
it was like late summer. So like I had money from something. I may have like mowed the lawn or like someone else's birthday or something. I don't know. So I had like a little money, and I remember just being at the store with my mom, and I was like, "Mom, can I buy this DVD?" And she was like, sure, why not? Because that was back when it was like DVDs were $10 for a new release. And so I was like, sick, let me get this DVD of Guardians of the Galaxy, not even a Blu-ray. And so we popped it in and watched it we've watched it as a family. And one, it was a lot more crude than my mom thought it would be. She really blindly just let me bought it because she thought it was a cartoon. And I don't know how that happened, because the cover was very clearly not a cartoon. And so it started and she was like, oh, I thought this was animated. And so, but it wasn't. But Guardians of the Galaxy is now her favorite Marvel movie now too. And like, so we just all like as a family would watch it. And it was like, we were so captivated by it. So I don't know. We watched the second one all together. And then like I went into the theater and watched the third one with my like fiance. And it was like being able to share that together. It's like, oh, Guardians will always be right here in my heart. Always right there in my heart.
No, that's real.
Gosh. Whew, man, that's our top 10. I'll review mine and then you can review yours. I got number 10, Captain America, the First Avenger. Number 9, Age of Ultron. Number 8, Ant-Man. Number 7, Iron Man. Number 6, Captain America, Civil War. Number 5, Infinity War. Number 4, Spider-Man Homecoming. Number 3, Captain America, the Winter Soldier. Number 2, Thor Ragnarok. And number 1, Guardians of the Galaxy.
At number 10, I have Avengers
Number
Endgame. Number 9, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Number 8, Civil War. Number 7, Avengers Age of Ultron. Number 6, Iron Man 2. Number 5, Iron Man 3. Number 4, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Number 3, Avengers Infinity War. Number 2, Iron Man. And number 1, Guardians of the Galaxy. You know what we need to do at some point?
What?
Is like Marvel Movie Night Draft.
Yes. Oh my god.
Because that would be hard.
That would be
Because we
really
had a lot of
hard.
overlap on this list. And I just think that would be fun.
So hard.
Because we'd be able to actually steal and have to rethink the list.
We'd have to fight for it. That'd be oh, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. So we're coming up on our time, but just kind of like based on like reflecting on what we had and looking at what we have now and just like what's coming up. Like, just give me 5 minutes on like what do you think the future of Marvel looks like at this point in 2025?
So here's the thing about Marvel is, and I was talking to my girlfriend about this last night because she's a really big Marvel fan too. And she actually helped me put my list together. I screen shared my letterbox and I was like, all right, let's put this list together.
All right, let's do this.
And we both kind of talked about like, there hasn't been a really captivating Marvel movie since Endgame.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can say like Far From Home, No Way Home, like you can say stuff like that and that's fine. But I think the difference is Marvel has kind of been declining in quality, which is weird because the movies started going down, but the shows were going up because we got WandaVision, Loki, Hawkeye, like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which was all right.
Yeah, it's fine.
But what I think is so interesting is it's like flipped. And now like Kevin Feige was like, hey, we're going to go back to like 2 or 3 movies a year and 1 or 2 shows instead of pumping out like, remember in 2021 when we had 4 movies and 5 shows?
Dude,
in this
it was way
same
too
year?
much.
It was a crazy year to be a Marvel fan.
Yeah.
And we covered pretty much all of it.
Yeah. No, we
which
did.
is crazy. So just to kind of see how far it's come, because they're not really like, because we're going in, like they're starting filming Avengers Doomsday this year, coming out next year.
Oh my god.
And it's like we don't have any established, like you've kind of lost the
heroes
connective
left.
thread of
Yeah.
who your group of characters is. Because going into the first Avengers, you know, we had Iron Man 1 and 2, Captain America, Thor, Hulk, and I think there was one other
Right.
movie. But I don't remember what it was. Maybe it was Iron Man 2. But then, like, going into that, you had your established characters.
Right.
And they had been established in these other movies together. So when you brought them together for Avengers, it's like, okay, that's cool. But now we're going into Avengers Doomsday with who? Like, to Falcon, Captain America, I guess the Fantastic Four, because that movie's coming out.
Yeah.
Maybe
Thunderbolts.
Wolverine, the Thunderbolts. Black Panther because I think
Yeah.
his sister took over.
Yeah.
I don't know if Shang-Chi is going to be in the movie.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to bring Tom Holland's Spider-Man in.
Yeah.
Like, so it's kind of like a jumbled mess of like, what are we doing? We're
Right.
starting
Like, what's
another
the
Avengers
plan?
movie. And I think that's also because Marvel kind of lost their identity after Endgame, except for the couple like loose threads they still had from the Endgame
Right.
saga, like the Infinity
Right.
Saga of Spider-Man. We got 2 more movies out of that. Guardians, we got
Yeah.
movies out of that. Loki, we got 2 seasons out of that. WandaVision, we got a season out of that. Like, even Hawkeye, like, they got a season out of that. But then once you start tying up those loose ends, it's like, wait a minute. We didn't really set
Right.
up for
Right.
another saga here. And the multiverse thing is so old.
It's done.
It's already
We're
so
done.
old. Because the multiverse removes all stakes from any project ever. Because, like, RDJ is playing Doom. So is that just an
How?
Iron Man variant and they're going to turn
Right.
him good and now we have RDJ back as Iron Man?
Right. Which is cheap.
So,
Yeah.
I don't know.
it-
Marvel's kind of in a free fall at the moment and there's
one of
not
the
really
largest
a Marvel
fall-offs.
movie. There's not one coming up that I'm like, oh, I need to be there day one.
Right.
Like, I'm going to go see Fantastic Four. And if I am there day one, it's because I'm going with friends who want to go see it day
Right.
one. But, like, obviously I wasn't there day one for Captain America.
Right.
And even if I
because
was,
it was Valentine's
just
Day.
because we were going to be doing an episode on it.
Right.
Like, it wasn't even because
right.
I really was like, oh, I'm so excited to go see Captain
Yeah.
America. Like, I don't know. And it's so, like,
Yeah.
mind-boggling to me that Captain America Brave New World has, like, a 54% on Rotten Tomatoes. I remember when Marvel movies, by and large, with the exception of, like, Thor the Dark World, were all, like, 90 and up. 90 was, like, a 90 was bad for a Marvel movie.
Yeah.
And that was saying a lot because they were all, like, high 90s and
Yep.
maybe, like, mid 80s on a bad day. But now it's like, what do you mean we have a 54% Marvel movie? What?
Yeah.
How
and
did that get made?
we're considering that good.
Yeah,
like,
and we're saying, oh, this is fine. Like, no.
yeah. Well, it like I don't know. I think one of the Marvel's biggest problems right now is they're not interested in making individual movies anymore. Because to set up the Avengers, they had to do Iron Man, the Iron Man movie. They had to do Captain America, the Captain America movie, and they had to do Thor, the Thor movie. But they're so invested in their group dynamics now that they're so like, we need to do a Thunderbolts movie. And it's like, they're trying to streamline character establishment when it's like, we're going to put 5 of them in this movie so that we can establish all of them and get to Doomsday quicker. And then it's like, oh, we're going to throw all the Fantastic Four in this movie, which Fantastic Four has never had their own standalone movies. So, like, that's fair. Because they are a team. That's fine.
Right, like they're a group, so it makes sense to have
Right,
them
so it
all
makes sense.
in one thing.
But also, so now are we taking the group of Fantastic Four and adding them to a bigger group in Avengers? Because now they're operating as a group entity in a larger group, and it's just really hard to keep up with all of the relationship dynamics. And that's why I was actually really excited for Brave New World, because I was like, finally, a movie that's just about a character. Like, we finally get a Captain America movie. And, the reviews aren't great. Audience score is at about 78 right now. I've heard it's a good popcorn movie, but not much after that. So, I don't know. I really think if we start to lean more towards, like, okay, this is even like Shang-Chi was not a bad movie. It really wasn't that bad. But then you look at like Black Widow and it was like, okay, they were like, we're doing a Black Widow movie. And then they gave her 5 other people as a team.
Right.
And it became a team movie and just to set up the Thunderbolts. And it's like, well, you're so disingenuous to her character. So I think that Marvel is in an awkward spot where they had an expectation put on them that they just couldn't deliver on forever, and now they're scrambling to pick up the pieces to say, look at us, we're building to something bigger, this is what you wanted, when in reality they misinterpret that, and the fans all they really want is a good freaking movie. I don't care if it builds to something else, and if it does, you have to do that in a subtle and nuanced way. But to say, oh, we're building up to Doomsday, isn't this what you wanted, it is just a bad take. That's not true. That's not the point.
Right. Like, it is what we wanted, but I also think there's something to consider of, I don't know if the audience has the retention time to build up to something like that again. Because think about how much the human attention span and retention has changed since 2008, or even from 2019 when they released Avengers Endgame. Like, the advent of TikTok and short form content, attention span is low. And in the consumer culture we're in, it's very easy to move on from like project to project. So Marvel is stuck having to figure out, how do we jump from project to project with the audience while also trying to build up something human and relatable. And I think their best chance to do that is Spider-Man 4.
Yeah,
if they can
I agree.
Somehow like course correct and re-navigate and figure all this stuff out. And like, even Multiverse of Madness became more of like a team movie, because it wasn't just Doctor Strange. It was Doctor Strange and America Chavez, and Wanda was there, and like all this other stuff that was happening that's like, what? So
every episode every movie has to be a crossover episode now, and it's just not true. And also, like, speaking on the attention span narrative right now, I would argue that audiences have a much higher attention span than studios give them credit for, but it has to be worth their time. Audiences will sit through a 3-hour Christopher Nolan movie because he makes it worth their time. We're not watching Marvel movies. The reason why we're not connecting to Marvel movies now is not because our attention span is lower. It's because we're realizing that there's better things that we could be giving our attention to, and they're not valuing our attention, and so we're going other places. So I really think Marvel could swing back and do the 20-movie narrative, but they're not going to take the time to quality control all 20 of those movies to keep our attention. And I think that's more of the nuanced conversation that media is leaning towards now, because you see shows like Severance are like, long form weekly TV has been like declining for years because of our attention spans, but people are following Severance weekly and they're super into it. And so like, Marvel could get back into that, but they're not going to take the time or the money because it's too risky, because you could get 10 years into 6 movies, screw it up and lose them, and studios aren't willing to take that financial risk anymore like they did in 2008. So what do we do?
Nothing.
Like, are we just stuck with crappy Marvel forever now, or like are we eventually just gonna stop making Marvel? Like, what's the plan?
I think the MCU should have ended at Endgame, and maybe some of those like external projects that kind of like fringed out. I think they would have been better to cut their losses and end there, and just make those individual standalone movies. And like, instead of trying to continue the current MCU, just start over and build from there, because then you have like your Shang-Chi, your Eternals, like Black Widow could be a different Black Widow. Like, I don't know, there's a better way to go about it, but
because it's not like the comics don't. It's not like the comics don't have the content,
right?
Like, you could hard reset Marvel with simply just the characters that they included in the Xbox 360 Lego game.
You
like,
could hard
that
reset
is true.
And just do the X-Men.
Literally,
like, now that you have the X-Men, like, just do that.
Right. Like, I feel like we're overthinking it. Like, we don't. I don't know. We're overthinking the MCU. Like, it has to be this spectacle when we just don't want to pay for the quality of the spectacle.
Yeah.
And so, anyway, I'm gonna go see Fantastic Four. I'm excited about that, and
Me too.
I think it looks halfway decent, and I think it has potential. Do you have anything else to add before we wrap it up here?
Sure don't.
All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Nerdiest Podcast. We want to know what you think. Please, if you're on Spotify or YouTube or anywhere, drop a comment down below or send us a message to let us know what you think. If you're not following us on Instagram at the Nerdiest Podcast, that is the best way to know what's coming up, when new episodes come out, and all that great stuff. So we cannot wait to see you in the next episode. Thank you so much for listening. All the links to everything to follow us everywhere in the description. Hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you in the next episode. But until then, bye.